thank you all for coming out, taking time out of your busy schedule to learn more about the Government Center project. The format for tonight is we'll do some introductions, we'll show a PowerPoint presentation, and then we will open it up to questions and concerns, etc. We just ask that you hold your questions to the end. And this is Dan Bolio, he's the project manager for Government Center. And this is Dawn Schwartz, you're the project manager for HDR Consultant. This is Greg Strangeways and Heather Hume, both from the Service Planning Department at the MBTA. We have Joe Cosgrove, who is the Director of Development. And we have Allison in the back, the designer, and she as well works for Dan's team. So we're going to turn it over to Dawn to give a presentation, and then again, we'll open it up to questions. Okay, so thank you for coming, all of you.
All right, again, thank you for coming tonight. Dawn and I will be giving you a presentation, Dawn primarily with the PowerPoint. Government Center Station job will start construction in May, June of this year, and will be in full construction in the fall of this year through the fall of 2015. And we'll go through some of the construction staging as well as primarily what the station is, why it is changing to what it will be, and how we plan on going about building it. And with no ado, I'll let Dawn take it from here, and we'll get going.
Hi again, my name is Don Schwartz. I'm with HDR Engineering. We're the engineering and architectural consultants hired by the MBTA to bring this project from conceptual design up through completion of design and into construction. We're going to go through and explain what the project is about and some of the details and what's involved with getting what seems to be a very simple exercise of putting in a couple of elevators and showing you what actually is going on in this project inside the station and around on the surface to make this possible. You may be familiar with the head house that's out there today on the plaza. This was built in the about 1963 when the West End was Is the microphone still on?
No.
Okay.
Can we speak loudly, or would you like? We have a difficult time with the audio system.
No, this one's off.
I'm sorry. Oh well, keep going.
The head house was built in 1963 when the West End they did some urban renewal in that area. And they built City Hall Plaza at City Hall, and they put in the new head house for Government Center Station. Before that, this was the Scully Under Station. I'm sorry, the Scully Square Station. The Blue Line Station was known as the Scully Under Station. The important thing to remember here is what is the purpose for this project. Number one is accessibility and compliance with the Americans with Disability Act, and at the state level, it's the Architectural Access Board. And so this is the last key station in the MBTA system to be brought up into compliance for universal accessibility for all people who use the MBTA system. So that's the number one driver for this project. Additionally, we're looking at trying to bring the station up to current code. Anything we touch, we have to bring up to current. We have to bring to current code, and also current MBTA policy with redundant elevators. The conceptual design that I'm going to show you, or the design I'm going to show you, was first approved as a conceptual design in 2009. The T worked directly with the Boston Redevelopment Authority to come up with this design. The BRA actually owns the plaza, so they are sort of the landlord here, and so the T has been working directly with them to make sure that we've got a design that everybody can agree to. This went through final design. We recently went out for bids for construction, and a contractor has been selected. We're looking to start construction this year, and you may have heard about the station closure, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But we're looking to shut down the station as short as possible, period of 24 months, and then reopening in 2015. We've done a lot of stakeholder outreach and public outreach on this project. We've met not only within the MBTA and all of the various departments that have something to do with the station, but we've also reached out to all the departments within the city who own and control and manage a big portion of this property. We've met with all of the abutters. We've met with some of the major stakeholders at abutters, such as the GSA, they operate the JFK building. And we've been also trying to come out and do public meetings as well, so that the folks who use the station and travel through the system know what's going on. This is the head house out on the plaza today, and you may be familiar with this. We call it the brick bunker. It's kind of like entering a cave, and I'll show you some before and after images of what it's like today versus what it will be like when we're done. This is the proposed head house. Looks very different in its design. As far as its size, it's not a whole lot bigger than what's out there today. The footprint of this is actually only expanding a relatively small amount. Today, where you can only enter on the plaza side of the head house through one set of doors, the new design will have 6 automatic sliding doors located around 3 sides of this portion here, referred to as the low roof portion of the head house. So folks will come through these doors, through the fare collection equipment, into this area in here that has the black walls here with a parapet around the top, and this is where the elevators are located, fare collection equipment. If you come through the fare collection equipment into that paid lobby, you'll be entered that glass box. This is located here. This is an area it's glass on the walls, and the idea is to get as much daylight as possible down into the station and make it open. You'll see some of the effects of that coming up. From the plaza side, one of the biggest barriers to the station for accessibility are the stairs that currently surround 3 sides of that head house. And there's a lot of people who just can't, even if you're not in a wheelchair, you may have difficulty navigating stairs. So that creates a tremendous barrier to folks using this station. So in the proposed design in the end, we'll be putting in walkways to get from the plaza up to the head house, from the plaza to the street, and from the street to the head house itself. All of those areas, all of the routes will be accessible routes. Everything that's outside of that will be accessible plaza spaces for people to be able to use, fully accessible for everybody, whether you're in a wheelchair or otherwise. We've had to keep in mind where we're located. We're right at the front door of City Hall, right at their doorstep, and City Hall is located here in plan. And we've got Cambridge Street to the top of the plant of this image here. Court Street, Tremont Street goes off to the top, and then of course we have the head house is located here, and then we have the events that take place on City Hall Plaza all the time. Currently, the Big Apple Circus is set up out there, and they're going to continue to operate. The city has a 10-year lease with the Big Apple Circus. We need to make sure that they can operate both during construction and after. One of the things I'll also call your attention to is on Cambridge Street, there's a median that goes down the center of Cambridge Street. We're going to be dealing with that as part of the project and reconstructing this piece of Cambridge Street, as well as the intersection, the Scully Square intersection itself. So what you'll see outlined in red is the limit of work for the project. It extends from New Sudbury Street to the north, down to the Scully Square intersection, a little bit of Tremont Street, a little bit of Court Street, plus a portion of the plaza around the head house. The idea is to be able to make these walkways, these accessible routes from the street, again down to the plaza, from the plaza to the head house, from the head house to the street. We'll also be tying into a recently constructed accessible walkway that was constructed by the city here. We'll be tying directly into that. You'll also notice there are some trees in here. All the trees along Cambridge Street will be replaced. They're in very poor shape. There's only 1 or 2 that are even close to being healthy. And we're going to be completely replacing those trees. We're actually adding some trees as well. And then on the plaza itself, where today there are no trees, we've located some areas where there's actually no structure down below. You can see some lines in gray here, very faint in the background. There's actually more tunnel and structure below the plaza than soil. So wherever we don't have the tunnels and structures, that's where we're going to try to take advantage of that space to put in some landscaping, to try to take advantage of that area, to green it up and make it more like a park, make it a more desirable place to go to. On Cambridge Street itself, the other element you'll see here is what we call the Blue Line Emergency Egress. Now this is a small head house that'll come up to the surface. It is for emergency egress only. It is not to be used, it's not going to be used as an entrance, it's not going to be used as a regular exit. This will be used so that we can be compliant with all the current codes for secondary means of egress and to make sure we have enough capacity to get everybody out of the station as quickly as possible. This head house is located in what is today a parking lane on Cambridge Street, so we don't lose any sidewalk space. By taking out the median, we're going to take the median in Cambridge Street, reduce it to only 6 feet wide. Today it's 15 to 20 feet wide in some places. Reduce it down to 6 feet. That allows us to keep parking on both sides, just the way it is today. We keep 2 lanes of traffic in both directions, just like it is today. We're also going to add a bike lane in each direction, and we widen the sidewalk. So it seems like a win-win all around for everybody in getting that, pushing realigning the roadway for Cambridge Street. Now, part of that will also be the intersection with Scully Square itself. Today, in order to cross the intersection, you cross a couple of lanes, you get to an island. You have to wait for another signal. You can cross a couple more lanes to continue your journey. This whole intersection will be reconfigured. We're taking the sidewalks and pushing them out to make it more of a T intersection. This has the effect of making it more pedestrian-centric and more pedestrian-friendly, so that we have shorter crossing distances. We're also going to add another phase to the traffic signal, so there'll be a dedicated pedestrian crossing, so that pedestrians can cross without any vehicles traveling in any direction. So, on the the effect of that realignment of the plaza and putting in the walkways, you have a condition where today you have to go up these stairs to get to the head house to get into the entrance, and in the proposed condition, these are all replaced by these walkways, so that we have graded walks to get directly to the head house and around the head house to the street. The materials that you see here, we're using a large granite pavers to be able to make it as smooth as we can. And we're also using some wire-cut bricks that will have the same color as the bricks that are out there today, but they'll all be compliant, conform with today's accessibility requirements. Now, in the head house, zooming down a little bit more detail here, here's the low roof on the top of the screen. These are the 6 entrances. Each of these will be automatic sliding doors. As you come through the fare collection equipment, and you can then turn to the right to get over to the elevators to get from the surface down to the green line. There's a second set of elevators to get you from the green line to the blue line, and I'll explain why we have to do 2 in a minute. As you pass through the fare collection and enter the glass box that's located here, you'll be able to go left and right to stairs and escalators to get down to the green line station. Now, these stairs and escalators are located basically where the existing stairs and escalators are located. But then we're going to construct the second set on the opposite side, which is today you enter from this direction. This will be located what is under today plaza. This allows us to double the capacity to get people out of here as quickly as possible in the event of an emergency, and just to bring it up to current codes. So looking at a cross-section of the building, you will enter from the left here. Again, here's that low roof area. The fare collection is located in here. You would travel through the free lobby to the fare collection, into the paid lobby. The elevators bring you down to the green line, and you have stairs and escalators in the glass box to bring you down to the green line as well. You'll see we're actually trying to fit this in right between the Haymarket tracks, eastbound, and what we call the Brattle Loop, which is a systems operational loop that they use for moving the vehicles around. So the effect of all that is the existing head house today. It's even darker. It's like entering. It looks much better here. You have it's basically like entering this small cave. You have one entrance, and in the proposed condition, you have these 6 doors. These inviting into a much more modern, user-friendly structure. Today, the existing head house, you're greeted again with this is dark, small, confined space, and as you come through there, in the proposed condition, it'll be a much different presentation where you come in. This is sort of like the plaza being pulled into the head house, or the head house coming out over the plaza, so it becomes a much more integrated with the area around it. As you come through the fare collection into the paid lobby, you begin to enter the glass box, and what you'll see on the floor here is something that would be somewhat unique to the MBTA system. This is a precast concrete floor, that it has glass embedded in the concrete. And this allows daylight to pass right through the floor down into the station below. Now the glass is frosted, so it's slip resistant, and it also makes it translucent without being transparent. So it allows the light to shine through, but you can't see through it. This has been used in sidewalks. There's one being used in Times Square, New York City. It's in the public sidewalk. It also serves as a ceiling in the roof for the transit station located below. It's been there for about 12 or 13 years, and it's been very successful. In the head house itself, this is looking towards Tremont Street in the background, and you'll see the effect of the stairs and opening this up to the station below. You'll be able to, this whole area, the whole head house essentially becomes a giant light well to get a lot of natural daylight down into the station. And just another perspective from that head house. You'll see again that the glass blocks of the floor. We've got some what looks like open risers. There's a steel solid riser, but it's perforated, so we can actually see directly through the stairs. So there's no place for anyone to hide. We want to make it as open and as every place is visible and as secure and safe as possible. So there's no place for anyone to hide down there. Now everything that you saw up at the surface is a big part of the project, but there's even more going on downstairs. What you see highlighted in green all through here, this is the project scope of work downstairs just in the Green Line station. I've outlined in red the limits of the platform that's accessible to the public. The head house is shown here with these dashed black lines. Here are the elevators to get from the surface down to the Green Line, and then there's a second set of elevators to get from the Green Line down to the Blue Line. Those are located basically in where the Dunkin' Donuts is today. We're replacing that vendor space to move over here, so they'll still be able to have some facility in there for that. But what's important to understand is that once you get down onto the platform, it's not enough to get people into the station and onto the platform. You have to get them onto the cars, onto the trains. And the low-floor cars are the accessible cars for the Green Line. And the only way we can do that is to raise the whole platform 8 inches. So every square foot of that Green Line platform will be reconstructed and raised up to 8 inches. And that means that every single stair, escalator, every single element that touches the floor needs to be reconstructed. If the stair comes up and we have to raise the floor, you can't just leave the stair there. We have to raise everything. We have to rebuild the stairs so that we have all even risers getting up to that floor. So the stairs get rebuilt, the stairs get rebuilt. We have to replace all of the escalators. And in the far end of this, there's an electrical substation that most people don't even know is there. This is the room that provides power to the whole station.
You may recall it's where the old ticket sales office was in that station many years ago for the new trolley system where you bought your monthly tickets.
Behind that ticket sales office is this electrical substation. In order to provide power for the new elevators, we have to completely replace that entire electrical substation because it barely supplies enough for today's current needs. In the end, the idea of by reconfiguring the platform, the stairs, and the escalators, one of the escalators, which is today right along the eastbound track, when moved to the far end, would take the platform along eastbound tracks, which is today only 3 feet wide, and widening that out to about 10 feet wide. So it's a dramatic safety improvement. We're also putting the second set of stairs and escalator, as I mentioned, at the far end of that platform, so that most people don't even need to pass through this bottleneck. To give you an idea of what it'll be like to arrive in the station, we put this little video together, and as you're coming up the escalator into the station and the head house, you'll be surrounded by the plaza. So if your destination is City Hall or Faneuil Hall or the JFK building or for a view of the Old North Church, you'll be able to get your bearings while you're still in the station. Whereas today, people come out sort of like coming out of a cave, blinking, trying to figure out where they are. And this will help people with wayfinding to be able to see where they are while they're still in the station. Blue Line station, there's still a lot of work to be done down there as well. The entire platform needs to be resurfaced and reconstructed. It's at the right elevation, but it's actually in very poor condition, and we want to make sure we resurface that so it'll last another 50 or 60 years. The elevators from the green line will be coming down on the blue line platform here. Today, when you come from the green line, you come down, there's a double set of stairs that brings you down the very end of the platform, and you move down. These are the tracks on the right-hand side, go to Bowdoin, and the left-hand side, they go back towards Aquarium and Airport. These elevators need to come down at the very end of today, with the bottom of those stairs. So in order to make room for people to circulate around these elevators, we have to pull the stairs back and reconstruct all the elevators. If you overlay the two stations together, what you'll see is there's really only one place for this elevator to go, and unfortunately this is it, and it's right at the bottom of the existing stairs. So we have to rebuild all of that. We also have to replace the escalator for the issues that I mentioned earlier with the green line. And at the far end, we're going to build something called an area of rescue assistance. Again, this is for code compliance with current codes. If somebody is stuck in the blue line in an emergency and they need to be evacuated, but the elevators don't work, if for some reason they're not operable, there's a place for people to evacuate from the building and for people to wait in this area until rescue assistance can come down from the surface to help them out. So that will look like this area at the far end of the platform. Today, there's a gate at the end of the platform, a set of stairs that goes up to what used to be the entrance to the Scully Under Station. And that was abandoned 50 years ago when the last time the station was touched. By rebuilding this area, rebuilding the stairs, and coming up to what we call the Blue Line Mezzanine, which was the entrance to the Scully Under Station, we're going to reuse that and sort of repurpose that space so that we can use this emergency egress all the way out to the surface. Out on Cambridge Street, you exit to the north heading towards the JFK building. And this is a very efficient way of getting people from the blue line directly to the surface. Some images of what that'll look like. We've tried to make the footprint as small as we can. Again, this is in what is today the parking lane of Cambridge Street. On the plaza side, there'll be a wooden bench, a wooden back, a wooden pergola. This ties into the wooden arcade that's currently along City Hall Plaza in this area here. So it's meant to tie into that architecturally. On the street side, there is a granite veneer that'll be the same granite as what was being used on the head house that's tied in architecturally as well. And then there's a glass clear story at the top to let daylight down into that stairwell and let light out of there at night to provide some ambient lighting. Construction phasing, and this is really the key question that people have been very concerned about, is how will this project affect everybody's commute, and how do I get to work? And so we've taken a long look at construction phasing. Number one criteria, we considered many things. Number one criteria is maintain public and worker safety. That has to be the first criteria. We also want to minimize customer inconvenience. We understand that there's going to be inconvenience no matter which way we do it. If it's kept open or if it's kept closed, anything in between, there's some level of customer inconvenience, and we've taken that into consideration in trying to minimize that. We also want to minimize operational disruptions to the whole system, because if we have problems at this station, that backs up through all of the other stations as well. We want to minimize construction delays because we want this to take 2 years. We don't want it to take 7 years. We want to do it as quickly as possible. And we want to be able to maximize the quality of workmanship. There's a lot of money being invested here. We want to make sure that the tea gets a quality product that will last for another 50 or 60 years and will be in good shape. So there was a value engineering study that was done early on, and the recommendation was to close the station and allow the trains to run through, and to be able to keep the work going within the station. What that does is that while the trains are allowed to run through the station, barriers will be built along the platform edges, so that all the construction work in the station will be, the tracks will be protected from that construction work. It also gives the contractor unfettered access to the whole station, both the green line and the blue line, to completely rebuild both of these platforms as to the level that what needs to be done here. Barriers will be constructed on both platforms. You can actually see here where here's a 3-car train coming in on the green line here. If we're doing the work on the head house above this, there's really no place to stop a single train. You have to double stop every train. That affects not only the green line, that affects the blue line too, because you have this, it ripples through the entire system. So Greg's actually going to talk about the mitigation for during the closure.
Give them the button.
That button's right there. Points on the other end.
Other way.
Other way.
Hi. So as we've already mentioned, the station itself will be closed for 2 years, September 2013 to September 2015. Trains will run through, both green and blue trains will run through. For people, of everybody who uses the Government Center station on a weekday now, slightly less than half, they're entering and exiting at that station. That's the beginning and end of their trip on the system. Most people will probably just use a nearby station. All these are within a 4-minute walk. I don't know if this is. If you're on the green line already, you'll probably use Park Street at the bottom of the screen there, or Haymarket Station. If you're on the blue line, State Street or Bowden Station. For those people, also we'll be running a bus that will do a loop among these. So it'll hit State Street, Government Center, Bowden, and Haymarket. I don't know if a lot of people will choose the bus. Again, these stations are nearby, but it'll be another option for people. And then again, of all the people who use it today, slightly more than half transfer in Government Center between the green and blue lines. And there's a bit bigger impact for those folks. But still, again, fortunately, there's a robust network in this area. So people will find a lot of options depending on their own situation. But these are probably the two main ones. And even for people who are transferring between the green line west of Government Center, Park Street and west, and the blue line, what we've put at the top there, using Haymarket as the transfer point, is what we're recommending, especially for rush hour commuting. And it may seem counterintuitive. It may feel to some people like you're going the wrong way, but it actually takes the same amount of time. It'll be less crowded because you're avoiding the more crowded part of the orange line. You're going to use the orange line either way. You change from the blue line at State Street, but let's say in the morning you come in on the blue line. We're actually recommending at rush hour you go north to Haymarket to get the green line westbound. So again, it'll be less crowded, takes the same amount of time, and we're actually going to be able to add some service, even at rush hour, to the green line at Haymarket. So again, we're not trying to convince anybody to do something they don't want to do, but we want to make sure people are aware of all the options. And then one other thing is Bowden Station now, you may know, is only open certain hours during weekdays. During this whole project, it'll be open all the hours of service, so nights and weekends too. So again, that'll be a close station for people on the blue line already. And that's it.
That's the end of the presentation material. And without ado, I open the floor to questions, if anyone has any. Yes, sir.
The bus, the transfer. When you take the bus to get into another station,
Yeah.
how will they know you're just transferring? You're not
You're stay in the system.
coming into the system from the start and have to pay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, a couple things on that. The bus itself will be free, but it's designed only for people who would have used the escalator, let's say, at Government Center, and now will bring them to or from a nearby station, State, Bowden, Haymarket. So it's not to re-enter the system.
The diversions, if you're in the system, you're able, and you need to get to the green line, you can stay within the system. You do not need to leave the system and then re-enter via the bus. You can actually stay within the subway.
Okay.
What's your trip exactly? Okay.
What I normally do is get off the government, take the green to park, to get the red.
Yep.
Now you get on the bus, now you're on the street.
Yeah, no bus.
No bus for you. What you would do,
So,
pointer.
you,
What I believe, what you're asking is, you come in on the blue line, and you normally take the blue line to Government Center, where you transfer it to green, and you go red. So now what you'll do is you'll take blue, most likely, you can do as you choose, but you would take blue to State, orange, one stop south to downtown crossing, where the red line is. Right. So you take the orange. I mean, you could make it a 3-stop. You could go blue, orange, green, red, or you could go blue, orange, and intersect with the red line at downtown crossing.
I missed something in my question.
I don't know.
Forgetting the orange.
Sure.
I got on the bus, took it to one of the other stops. Then you re-enter the station.
That's right.
But you look like a new passenger as opposed to just transfer. How does it?
There are no paper transfers. You would repay if you leave the
Well, that's what I
system.
mean. You have to repay.
Yeah.
But again, the bus is only, if now you finished work right at Government Center, you would just be getting on the free bus to get to another station, Haymarket. That's what the bus is designed for. It's
This
not,
bus-
it's not to transfer.
This bus loop goes, thank you.
That was the wrong word.
Right, it is. This bus is a local shuttle that takes you from Congress Street to State Street to Cambridge Street to Sudbury Street. It's essentially a 1-block shuttle. For those who would choose not to walk between stations, they could avail themselves of this shuttle bus, which is a 1-block loop.
The intent is really, if you're exiting and entering the station from the surface at Government Center, you can no longer do that during the closure. So you have to use one of the surrounding stations. So if, say,
Stay
you
underground to
Exactly.
Right.
not have to repay.
That's
right, you
correct.
can just stay
That's what
within,
I'm getting.
right,
Yes.
transfers would just be within
I
the system.
apologize if I explained that in a complicated way.
I got 3 questions.
Shoot,
So you're going to put brakes in the plaza.
yes.
Aren't brakes the worst thing to put on the area? You break up, they just come apart.
Well, actually, what we all know and hate on Government Center Plaza are called City Hall pavers. I call them sewer brick, what we used to build sewers out of. And what we are going to be rebuilding City Hall Plaza with are called wire cut bricks. And there's a very high tolerance in the construction specifications about verticality and horizontal alignment of all these bricks. And they ride very, very well, and they're acceptable by ADA criteria. And as Don had mentioned earlier, and he will point out what the different materials are.
Right. Along the street itself, along Cambridge Street, we're going to have a standard concrete sidewalk. That'll still be owned and maintained by Public Works. The area around the head house itself, I mentioned the granite pavers. So those will be used with large dimensional pavers. And then,
Brakes are the worst thing to put on the street.
We're not putting them on
We're
the
not putting them on the
Plaza
street.
only.
right, it's plaza only, areas not subject to traffic. And then along the back of the sidewalks where we have all the landscaping with the trees, we're using permeable pavers. This allows us to capture rainwater and irrigate the trees directly so that we're not having all that water run off to the gutter. We can actually capture it and directly water the trees.
The other question you already answered, the egress.
Okay. Anyone else? All right.
Okay.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. I'm sorry there were more of us than you, but you can never tell in these affairs. Our last meeting we had about 100. So. I'm sorry?
Do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I keep those to myself.
Right. Yeah, there we go.